a very, very good morning from a dark and gloomy New South Wales Central Coast. I've actually come down. I've come down to the underground car park today I'm at a different centre, so I haven't got the gym today. I've got a rest day at the gym, so I've come to a different centre, and I'm going to go in and have my cup of air. But I thought I'd come in. I'd come in to the underground car park because it's raining out there and it's dark, and boy oh boy, as I sit here doing my video here today, it's driving. It's a funny joke, isn't it? Haha! It's driving all the people crazy because I'm in the best parking spot. Because I was here quite early, I'm in the best parking spot, and they all want it, and they can all see me in my car, and they're all milling around. But I'm just sitting here doing a video. Anyway, I wanted to start today just with so I've spoken before about I get a daily Bible verse. You'll see a light flickering on and on around me. It's just the car park lighting. The lighting here at the car park does that, so it's got nothing to do with the orbs or anything like that. So just want to put that out there. Don't know whether the orbs will be here today. They were here yesterday, but whether they will be today, I don't know. I pray for discernment with the orbs because it's deeply it's thought-provoking for me. I don't know how to think of them as I try to express a word as to how I feel about them. Heighten my senses and my thoughts that I am somebody in the Lord, that the Lord's going to use me in profound ways because I am getting light orbs coming up in my car. So and that source of light that was just behind me, just there on the window, above my window of my car the other day, I cannot explain it, guys. I cannot explain it. So I pray for discernment there this morning from the Lord about exactly what's going on, what they are. See, there goes one there. That was an orb just there. There goes another one. So I'm praying for discernment as to what these things are, and whether they are angels or whether they're of Satan. To me, I'm really hopeful that they are of the Lord, because as I was doing that video there the other day, I was talking about the light and how Jesus, Yeshua, represents the light, and he's the only source of light in the world. And when I went boom, they just, and I was glorifying Yeshua, they just seemed to trigger, and they just went absolutely mental when I did that. So I'm really hopeful that there's something, that they are friendly fire. I wanted to start today, but they are quite a development in my life. Let me assure you, I'm just a humble 45-year-old bloke from the Central Coast who's had quite a life in the last couple of years with the truth that I've learned and the journey I've had in my life, to now have light orbs that I can't explain, and a big source of light in that video there the other day that I can't explain. It's quite the development, and it's quite harrowing. That's probably the word I'm after. It's like, oh, what do I do? What do I do? I pray, and I keep going. I keep pressing for truth. I've mentioned in previous videos there where I always start the day with a Bible verse. So the app I use for the Bible, every day it gives me a Bible verse, and I firmly believe it's a way the Lord is talking to me, communicating to me. Some of them, most of them every day, they're just so pertinent for what I'm doing at the time, or how I'm feeling, or what may have happened to me yesterday, and this one's no different. So 2 Thessalonians 15:15. See that none render evil for evil unto any man, but ever follow that which is good, both among yourselves and to all men. I mean, praise to Yeshua. I mean, how good's that? That's pretty pertinent to me right now as I try to discern who's friendly and who's not in my life and in my walk with the Lord. So that come right at the right time there this morning. I wanted to talk today just a little bit, just to keep going with the videos that I did there yesterday, just about the skins and about garments, relationship with the Lord, and what all these terms mean. The great Genesis 5 question that I've been talking about. Now I will be looking up and down a little bit here today because I've prepared a few things. I just want to get them all down. I want to make sure that I get everything here correctly. And again, these lights here today, that's just a car parking in front of me, and that source that's coming up through the back window, it's just lights in the car park. But when you see the shooting ones, they're the orbs of light, and I've already seen 2 in this video myself, so there's probably more. So once upon a time, probably shouldn't do that because that's Masonic, but anyway, they're back in the beginning, or back before the earth, God dwelled with angels. He dwelled with these angelic beings. Now, for some reason that I still can't, that the Lord still hasn't presented to me, I still don't know. For some reason, the Lord decided to create us, man. Now, when he first created us, the scriptures, not back up, the scriptures tell me that we were created in the image of God, both in the image of God and in the image of angels, because the scriptures back it up, that we were created in the image of God, and Adam was created as the son of God and the sons of God. They were in Job, and they were in a couple of other verses too. That I haven't really got any scripture here in front of me, but I'll superimpose it later. But the sons of, it all links up, that the son of God was Adam, the sons of God were the angels, of which Satan was one of them, and I think Michael, Raphael, and those angels, they may have been of them as well. So the fallen angels and the angels and man were all the same thing, and we were created in the image of God. That's what the Bible's saying. Now, at the end of John 20, Jesus was referred to as the Son of God as well. Now, I can't discern on this. I need to read a little bit more and keep praying about this one, because Jesus did refer to himself as the Son of Man. And in the Bible, it also refers to us in our fallen state as the sons of man. So what I'm thinking at the moment is the sons of men are us in our fallen state now on the earth. And the Son, and that's what Jesus was when he walked with us in the flesh, and that was the difference between him and Adam. So he came into the earth as the Son of Man, who was the same as Adam in his fallen state, except he restored it. He went back to perfection. He died. He was crucified. He went back to heaven. Revelation 21. He went back with the perfect garments back into his perfect state. Because I think it does say there in the Bible when he was crucified that he was wrapped in something or other. So that thought's just come to me now, so I haven't really prepared for that one. But it's interesting as I put that thought down in here, because this is a diary. It's interesting as I put this thought down, because it's like it's backwards, isn't it? Because Adam was created as Jesus left us, really, and Jesus arrived as Adam left us. That's sort of what I'm seeing here this morning. So, in any case, so Jesus, so they were both, Adam and Jesus are just incredibly linked, incredibly linked. And I think Jesus ended it the same way as Adam started. That's sort of what I'm seeing with those two. Now, it really gives some new meaning to me this morning of the verse where Jesus said, where Yeshua said, before Abraham was, I am. It just brings that to life, and man, the Holy Spirit's on me now. As I say this, it's like, whoa, and I look around and there's 4-wheel drive monsters with their lights on just wanting my parking spot. But they're not getting it. I'm doing a video and I'm going in to have my coffee. So another thing, so man, and there's a lady packing her groceries, and a car just come up to her, and she's like, no, I'm not leaving. Big 4-wheel drive, of course, big white one. But anyway, let's not get distracted. So mankind and Satan fell to the same place here. So it first happened with the angels. So there was a passage there in the Book of Treasures. I think it might have been in the Book of Treasures, where God demanded that the angels bow down and worship his creation that he made in his image, us, mankind. Satan and his hosts, they refused to do so. I think it may have been Raphael or Michael. They came to him and demanded he do it, and he wouldn't do it, and they demanded again, and they wouldn't do it, and God got angry. His wrath was upon them, and he cast them down to the earth, which is where we are today. So then, and this is where Satan's such an idiot, so he's just ridiculous because he hates us and he doesn't want us here. But anyway, he was in the field. He was, no, because he mustn't have been cast down yet. That must have been when he was cast down. When I would say that's representative of it. So Genesis 3:1, when the serpent, because the serpent was in the field, and the field was the new creation, the new heaven and earth, the Garden of Eden. So Satan there, and I would say that's where it was represented, where he wouldn't bow down, and that's when he was cast out and he was put on his belly, and it all happened at the same time, didn't it? Yes. Yes, it all happened at the same time in Genesis 3 there. So we both come to the same place, which is here, which is here, and this is where we are now. So Satan probably didn't know that was going to happen. So there you go. There you go. So that's what I think may have happened there. So here we are. We both now dwell in this place. We both now dwell in this place, in this fallen state, due to us hearkening to Satan's words. So Eve, and I believe, as I sit here today, every day that goes past, I believe the story of Adam and Eve, the Garden of Eden, is represented of us all. We were all angels at one point. We were all in the new heaven and earth. Or maybe, I don't know, does that set us apart from the elect? Were we there, and we somehow have got this second chance, and the other people that won't hearken or have got no, I don't know, because there's thirds to me. There's thirds. There's the ones that are of the fallen angels who they're just in darkness, and that's who they look towards. And you see them in your life. You see them on your social media. You see them on the TV, and they're just surrounded in darkness, and they celebrate it. They celebrate the darkness. I've still got people in my life. I've still got people on my social media, and they just celebrate it. They just celebrate their sodomy. They celebrate their darkness. So yeah, I think a third of them might be sort of that are in darkness, and that's what they want. You've got the third of us who are of the elect. And then you've got and it's not necessarily an even number. It's just three different sections of people. And then you've got the third, and this is where the bulk of them are. This is where I reckon probably 90% of the people are those ones in the middle. Those ones that are up for, I don't know, up for dibs, if you like. My brother used that term the other day. He said, I'm not up for dibs, mate. He says, I'm not there. He says, I'm not up for grabs at the moment. So that could be those souls, the sea of souls. That could be that the middle part could well be them. But to me, you might have 5% of the elect, 5% in the dark, and the rest of them, they could be the point of why we're all here. And the reason why us in the elect are here is because we need to find the truth, and we need to help fulfill the prophecy of the Bible, and maybe help these people to the Lord. And that's where all the good works comes in, as it says so in James. Maybe that's sort of what's going on. But anyway, this is why they hate us. So this is why Satan hates us. He detests us because he blames us for his fall. So the consequence of his actions was that he beguiled Eve. He was more subtle than any other beast in the field, and he tempted Eve to eat, because God creates every being with free will. He created, when Jesus wasn't created, Jesus came to the earth, and he was given free will as a man. He didn't hearken. He fulfilled the law every day of his life. And that's why that verse where he was 12 and he was preaching in the synagogues, that's why he had so much wisdom, because his whole life all he did was fulfill the law, and he was just immersed in truth. He was born in truth. The same thing with Noah. You look at Enoch 105. I had another look at Enoch 105 there, and it's just come to life for me, Enoch 105. And you can see in there that Noah was created like nothing else before him. They couldn't even see him. They couldn't even recognize him. They didn't know what he was. He was just completely foreign. He was a completely different creation. That's because he was perfect in the Lord, because that's how the Lord created him. And the Bible backs all this up. So this is why they hate us, because it's what Satan did. Satan beguiled Eve. He tempted Eve with her free will, and Adam, and they succumbed to that. And the consequence of that was that he was cast out here, and he blames us for it. He doesn't want us here. He wants it here for his hosts, and he wants it here for the hybrid creatures that he's creating, which happened when Ham stole the skins in Genesis 9. So, and this is what the chemtrails are all about. The chemtrails are here because they're geoengineering the sky. They're preparing to create a new Earth. They basically want to. What they're trying to do here, this is the as above, so below, as I see it, is that they're trying to create heaven on earth. So this is what all the royals are about, and all of the Hollywood creatures, and all the transgender, and all that. They're trying to create their own creation on earth, and they are gods on earth in their eyes, and they don't need the Lord. They don't need the Lord to do any of it. So this is what the Tower of Babel was all about. It's reaching to the heaven. They feel they can get to heaven, and they can bypass God, and they can eliminate God, and they don't need God, and they're doing it on the earth, and they're trying to do it in the heaven as well. As above, so below. That's sort of how I'm viewing that this morning. Now, with the garments, so I'm pretty sure I'm just about there this morning with the garments and exactly what they mean. So, so when Adam and Eve were created, they were created in the garments that they talk about, that the Bible talks about. One section there is in Revelation 7:13, where it describes the elders that are in the new heaven. They are dressed with the finest garments, with the whitest of robes, and the reason why they're dressed in those garments is because they're in full majesty of the Lord. Now, what happened with Adam and Eve was that, when they fell from the garden into here with Satan and his host, they lost those garments. Those garments were removed. That's representative of what happened in the garden. And then the new skins that the Lord gave them, they were skins. Now they were of animal skins. It says that in the book of Cave of Treasures that I've been reading. They were of animal skins. So to me, that represents animal sacrifice. That represents blood sacrifice for sin, which comes back to the covenant of the cross. And that's what they were given. They were given the skins. They were given the new garments. These new garments, these new garments represent their relationship within the Lord. I don't think it's their calling, because that's up to God. It could represent their calling as well. But we now wear the garments spiritually. Which is of our relationship with the Lord and probably our calling. It could well be our calling. And then when Noah had the skins himself, because he was a different creature. He was different to everybody else. So when he was naked in the tent, he had the skins off because he was just on full display his brilliance in the Lord. He was drunk on his works in the vineyard. If you want to still go there, whether he was physically drunk and he was raped and all this sort of crap, just go to Joel. Go to the book of Joel 1. Just read the first 20 verses of Joel, and it's all there. The vineyard, the wine, all of it is just representative of the state of man, and that's what Noah was doing. Noah was the new Adam. He was the new man. He was planting the vineyard, which was the new man, because God had done the flood. The flood was there because man had been corrupted to such a point. The giants ran riot in this time, guys. The giants ran absolutely riot during this time between the fall in the garden and the flood. And the Lord just had no choice. He had to. He's not a bad God. He's not an evil God. He's not an aggressive God. He had no choice, because his creation was corrupted. It was no longer his creation, and he's the Lord. And he just went right. So he just destroyed the whole earth. And that's what the veil is today. The ark was entombed. There's entombment themes right through the Bible. In Jonah and Jesus and the Cave of Treasures, there's entombment right through the Bible, and that's what the ark represented. And that entombment was the veil. So now the hybrid creatures, now the Nephilim, now Satan, they're not physical beings like what they were with us. They're now spiritual beings, and they're locked behind this veil, and that's what they're trying to do at places like CERN. They're trying to rip the veil. They're trying to have these creatures come out, and that's what that verse in Jasher, I think it was Jasher 36, when all of these beasts come from the other side of the sea. That's what the other side of the sea is. It's the other side of the veil. The sea is the veil. That's what I'm really thinking here this morning. I've been talking about the sea and what the sea might be. To me, as I sit here this morning, the sea is the veil, because right through the Bible, it talks about the sea and the other side of the sea, and they went to the other side of the Jordan and all this sort of stuff. And to me, it's not physical. It's all spiritual. The whole thing's spiritual. I'll get to that in a sec with just with the land as well. Okay, so Genesis 1:2 happened for the first time when Adam and Eve ate in the garden. So the Bible started at Genesis 1:2, and then you can see right through that Genesis 1 that God introduced the light, and he saw the light was good, and it was very good. That represents him saving us yet again. So that's how the Bible started, and that's where we were. So it started where we are now in Genesis 1:2, and then God gave us light. This was the first, God the creation, and he put Adam and Eve here in a perfect, well, not here, in the Garden of Eden, in a perfect state. So that was where Genesis 1:2 played out first of all, and God's solution was creation. So that could be there could be a key to why he created us right there, because there was darkness on the face of the deep, which is where we are now, and he created man. So it could have been there was something going on in heaven, this spiritual fight was going on in heaven, so the Lord went, right, so there could be stuff going on before us in the Bible. And that's what I say yesterday, that I believe Genesis 1:1 and Genesis 1:2 are just poles apart. They're just miles apart, and they just happen to follow each other in the Bible. So Genesis 1:2 first happened in Genesis 1:2, and the creation of man, and then wickedness abounded, and then we went back up to Genesis 1:2, and that was the time where the flood happened. Genesis 1:2 was the second time. And then mankind, and then God started again. Adam was the new man. Noah was the new Adam, the new hope. And that was where Genesis 1:2 started to play out again in Genesis 6-9. That's where it all started to play it out again. God's solution was the flood. He put the veil between us, which was the sea, the veil between us and the hybrid creatures and the Nephilim and Satan and the evil spirits. Now, So from there, so when Ham stole the skins, so Ham stole the skins in Jasher 7 and in Genesis 9. When Ham stole the skins, that was him. That was them doing it again. That was them corrupting the seed. So Noah had the skins off. He was magnificent in his work of the Lord. He was absolutely gleaming. He was glowing in the Lord. And then Ham saw that, and that's what the whole thing about with Japheth and Shem. They saw it, and they went backwards, and they covered Noah because they didn't want anything to do with it. Ham stole the skins. That gave him the wisdom, and then the skins were handed down, and they were eventually given to Nimrod, who was a mighty hunter, a great hunter. I think it's the words were in Genesis 11. And he didn't actually start until he was 20. That's when he put the garments on. So he became, I think, a giant. He became a giant in those times. He used the skins, which is the wisdom of the Lord, which is the garments are the wisdom of the Lord. And so I've got all this wisdom now, and somebody was to say, knock it all out of me, and I would just blab everything to them about what's going on. They could then go and use this for evil. I suspect that's what the Masons are doing now. That's who the Freemasons are. That's why people like Ryan, they know so much more than me, and then they can come to me and go, well, how do I know? If I'm not a man of God, how do I know all this stuff? It's because you've got the wisdom. You've got the wisdom, and you're miles ahead of me because you've had it all this time, and I'm just a bloke who's come along, who's just come into truth two years ago. So started to come into truth 2 years ago, and I'm just a humble bloke from this New South Wales Central Coast who've got no big secret society behind me. I've got none of this wisdom whatsoever. The only wisdom that I found is just through my connection with Jesus and the Holy Scripture. That's it. So that's where it happened again. So when Ham did that, Genesis 1:2 just rolled around straight away. Genesis 1:2 rolled around because Ham had stole the skins. And then what did the Lord do this time? Enter Abraham. He created the seed. The seed was already there, but he created Abraham, and he's like, okay. So Abraham then was the big hope for humanity. He begat Isaac, who begat Jacob, and then it goes all the way down, King David, all the way down to Jesus, the seed line. And that born his people, the 12 tribes of Israel, that born his people, and this is what I believe the curse of Canaan was. Now, there's no scripture to back this up, and it's difficult to back up. So it's just me putting thoughts out there with this one. But the curse to Canaan, I can't work that one out. But it's clear as you read through Genesis 4 and the Cave of Treasures book that Cain was of the devil. He listened to the devil. He was of the serpent. He was an evil, wicked man. And you look at the name Canaan; they're very, very similar. Very similar. I know it was after the flood. and Cain was eliminated. I know all that. But then one of Ham's kids, I think his name was Canaan. You know, it's very similar. There's something going on there, I believe. There's seriously something going on there. But the curse was the land. The land that the Lord gave the 12 tribes of Israel was the land of Canaan. Now, I don't believe it was land. I don't believe it was land at all. And all of these fights you see in the Bible, and he slew them and he smote them, it had nothing to do with physical violence. I don't believe, like smote them, when they smote them and all that, I believe it was just their relationship with the Lord. It's a spiritual thing. So he went and he won souls, he won spirits, he won them over. They hearkened to the word of the Lord. And that's what happened in Joshua, when the kingdom of Israel was at its best. They were all united in the Lord, and that's when they were strongest. And they had all this land, and the land reached the waters over there, and it reached the sea over there. It was because it was the spiritual battle. The Lord was winning the spiritual battle because the new Genesis 1:2 had rolled around after Ham had stole the skins, and then it happened again. It happened again because Nimrod created the Tower of Babel, and then after the fall of the Tower of Babel, that's where we were. We were at Genesis 1:2 yet again, and that's where he introduced Abraham, because Abraham was of one of I can't quite remember, but he was actually, I'll get the scripture, hang on. Yeah, Joshua 7:49, and Terah the son of Nahor, prince of Nimrod's host. So Terah is the son of Nahor. Now Nahor was the prince of Nimrod's fallen angel. So that's what a host is. Was in those days very great in the king of his subjects, and the king and princes loved him, and they elevated him very high. And Terah took a wife, and her name was Amthello, and the daughter of Corn, that's interesting, isn't it? And the wife of Terah conceived and bare him a son in those days. Terah was 70 years old when he begat him, and Terah called the name of his son that was born to him Abram, because the king had raised him in those days and dignified him all the princes that were with him. So it's very similar to Moses. He come out of the pits of Egypt. He come out of the pits of the fallen angels, of the wickedness, of the Genesis 1:2 darkness. It's basically, to me, it reads exactly the same as Moses, and that's where Genesis 1:2 played out yet again when Moses come around, and that's this time loop that I've been talking about, and this is where the skins come into it, and the garments. It all links in together. I tell you, I'm driving these people absolutely mental in this car park. They want this spot so bad. Oh well. Not to worry. I love you all, but you're not having the spot. Joshua 22:13. And any man who had hunger and came to Abraham's house, Abraham would give him bread, that he might eat and drink and be satisfied. And anyone that came naked to his house, he would clothe with garments as he may choose, and give him silver and gold, and make known to him the Lord who had created him in the earth. This did Abraham all of his life. So to me, that's just absolute confirmation that the garments is about your relationship with the Lord. And it says the garments that you may choose. So whatever, you've got free will. You come to the Lord and you go and you look at everybody in their own journey with the Lord. They all put on their garments with the Lord as they see fit. People choose to go naked. Other people choose to not. Other people not. They choose to not have any garments, and they're hideous, just like Satan, and they're fully visible, just like Satan. They're the people I see on my Instagram and my social media who are reveling in their sin. They're not wearing any garments whatsoever, and they're hideous. They're hideous because I'm wearing fine garments, because I'm very, very with the Lord. So there's your confirmation of what your garments are. And that's what the skins were. It's all exactly the same thing. Yes, I think that's about all that I wanted to put down in this video about this. I think it's really hard to bring all this together, but I think that's about all that I wanted to put down in this video. There's a very, very, very important man in there's two. There's a lady too. They're in a security uniform, and they've got a gun? No. And they've got this security uniform, and they've got iridescent vests, and they're security in a car park, and they look very serious, very, very serious, and extremely important as they walk around the car park in a security uniform. I suspect that's their job for the day, just to keep everyone nice and Masonic safe. Anyway, back to the real world. Joshua 77:37. So I read this the other day as I was reading through Joshua. I didn't read it. This is on the audio book when I was driving to Brisbane to come on. And I just went, huh? What did I just say? You know, it really brought me to life. I'll read the whole lot to the end. There's a little bit here, but just stay with me because I want to just introduce this concept as well as what this stick is. So, and Rahul commanded Moses and brought out of the dungeon so that they shaved him and changed his prison garments and ate bread. There's the garments again. Actually, I might do this in another video. I think. Yeah, I might do this separately because there's this stick, and this stick represents to me it represents the blessing that goes all the way down, and this is where I feel the garments may well have been replaced. They've got replaced with this stick. But I might do this in a separate video because this one's out to half an hour. I think I've got everything down that I wanted to say on this one. I really think now I can just about move on from the skins. I think I'm pretty well settled now. The Lord's shown me what these skins are, what they represent, what garments represent, what hosts are. I feel I'm just that step closer to the reason for creation. It may have even come to me during this video. The Lord may have actually even presented it to me in this video. I think there's still orbs of light happening here. I think I just saw a couple. That's okay. Nothing bad's happening to me, and I'm growing in the Lord as they happen, and I pray to the Lord about them so He knows that I know, and I believe they're good because they're still here. I think they're still here, so I believe they're good, and they're most welcome if they're good. This is just, to me, it's just physical manifestation of the glory of the Lord. It's just wow. It's just amazing. Amazing what's happening to me, guys. Yeah, so, and it finally puts to bed for me, it finally puts to bed any debate on what Genesis 9's about when Noah was drunk in his tent, because Joel just backs up, what I'm saying about the vineyard, and then you link it back to the garments, and it all, to me, it's all done. It's all done, and the whole story of the Bible is just about Genesis 1-2. And this is why the Lord, even before I even knew what Genesis 1-2 even begun to mean, I just loved it. It just resonates with me, the words. I just love how it's written. And there's just so many hidden, deep reasons as to why the Lord made me obsessed with that verse, because that's what the Bible's all about, guys. The Bible is all about Genesis 1-2. That's where we are now, and it's the Lord rescuing His creation time and time again from their own iniquity, hearkening to the voice of Satan. And something that's becoming very, very clear to me is Satan is nothing while you've got the Lord. If you've got the Lord, and you in the light of the Lord, and you seek the Lord, and you live your life for the Lord, you do all those things, Satan cannot touch you. He simply cannot touch you. So that's me this morning, guys. I'm going to go inside and have my cuppa. I think I've driven these people crazy quite enough. Let me know any thoughts you've got down there below. I'd love to hear them. And all blessings go out to all my brothers and sisters in the Lord, and all praise goes to Yeshua, our King.
Change your mind, the sun has come. You've been left behind.